You've spent over a decade at school, learning somewhat unnecessary facts, passing exams, following rules. But when it's over, something clicks, and it's not your joints. It turns out the school doesn't just teach you these facts, it also teaches you about yourself. It's time to put your mind on the matter of life. So, why am I talking about this? Well, I was brought up in an academically focused environment, and I was always the smartest. That was until I set foot in Reading School, an all-boys selective grammar school with over 900 years of history. Suddenly, I wasn't the smartest, nor was I the tallest. The next 7 years were a blur, taking me through hundreds of exams, thousands of conversations, and millions of opportunities. I joined the cadets, became the vice school captain, and now I'm off to study physics at university. So, here's what 7 years at Reading School has taught me. Lesson 1. Being the smartest doesn't mean you're the best. Surprisingly enough, being at a school with some of the brightest minds in the country, you come to realise that being smart isn't everything. I think one of the things that made the school so unique was its Floriat system. This was a set of lessons which, if you don't know your Latin, means flourish. So it focused on building life skills and leadership. And with this, I come to realise that being smart isn't what defines you as a person. What defines you is how charismatic you are, how respectable you are, and how much of a good person you are. Lesson 2. Time over talent. Cramming doesn't work. I say this flat out, this isn't a revision video, but cramming doesn't work. 7 years being bombarded with tests, you come to realise what actually works. And in fact, it's not having infinite talent that gives you the best marks. It's being a consistent student and highlighting where you go wrong so that you can improve next time. At the start of the year, I would be getting maybe 40-50% in a test. By the end, I'd be getting 80-90%, because I know that I need to improve on X, Y, and Z. But this doesn't apply to exams alone. This could apply in relationships, projects, even work. All of these require reflection, and with time to improve, everything gets better. Lesson 3. Seize every possible opportunity. I could very well have turned up to my school, done the bare minimum to get the grades that I needed, and then left. But I would have missed every opportunity that was presented to me. And in every opportunity, there is the chance for fun and development. In fact, one of the biggest opportunities that I almost missed because I was reluctant was the cadets. With this, I gained lifelong friends, lots of skills to be a good leader, and has opened my eyes to a career in the RAF. If that's not for you, that's fine, but there are so many other opportunities, so please seize them when you can. Even if it sounds selfish and you may not even get them, but please try and find something. I applied for school captain, which is the equivalent of head boy for our school, and I didn't end up getting it, but instead I received vice school captain and was put in charge of all of our 900th anniversary events. And in fact, that, to be honest, gave me so much more experience, a lot more chance to develop because of how much I was being thrown. So, if there's one thing you take away from this video, seize every opportunity. Lesson 4. Failure is okay. This is a less obvious one, particularly from me coming from a grammar school where everyone is driven to succeed in everything they do. But it's simply not possible to. In fact, you need to fail to succeed. Why? Because failure is where learning actually occurs. I remember coming into my A-levels in year 12 and sitting in my first maths exam thinking, oh, this is going to be easy. GCSEs, I got a 9, got 80%, whatever it was, and this was going to be just as easy. And then I came back the next lesson, 50%. It sucked, I'll be honest, it really did suck. But it did give me the kick up the arse that I needed so that I could work hard and improve in the areas that I needed to. So the key takeaway from this is that whilst failing does suck, I'm not going to lie to you, it will suck, but it gives you that golden opportunity to improve so that you can succeed in the future. Lesson 5. Grammar schools aren't for everyone. In my school, there's about 1,100 students, and if you imagine how many that is, there's going to be a huge range of personalities and learning abilities. And put bluntly, the grammar school doesn't help all of those people. There is certainly support, and I will appreciate the amount of support that is there, but at times people may find it demeaning to rely on this support, because at times grammar school can be intense. The school selects for the top 5th percentile of students, so if you're competing with all these people that are probably in the top 1% suddenly, then you're going to start feeling a bit overwhelmed at times. For some people this is perfect. For me this worked out quite nicely, but I've seen many of my other friends who have struggled because of this high stress environment that it can provide. So whilst the grammar school can work, I've come to realise that for some people they probably would have performed better if they'd just gone to a normal secondary school. So if you're in a different school and you're thinking, am I finished? Because I'm not at a grammar school, I'm not going to do well. No, not necessarily. It's up to you to put in the work. If your school isn't providing much support in terms of education, which is very much the case in a lot of schools, then you're going to need to find some help elsewhere. Plenty of YouTube videos outside of school. So much there is out there. So please, if you are struggling, if you need to find a tutor, go for it. But just because you're not at a grammar school, it doesn't bar you from being the best. Lesson 6, and arguably the most important lesson, find your passion. This is something our school supports with quite well. Finding any sort of club, society or community, there is a huge range at the school. It is impossible to be a successful and well-functioning human being without balancing your academic and work life with something fun. For some people in the school, this was being part of house events and leading our house to victory. This never really clicked with me since, let's be real, who wants to support a house called Schoolhouse? For others, it was sport, whether that be during our weekly game sessions or playing for the school team or even competing nationally. We've got quite a few national athletes in our school. For me, it was leadership. I found every possible opportunity to get some leadership experience, whether that be as the RAF senior cadet, our combined cadet force, or even as the vice school captain, who managed to host 5,000 people in our community carnival for the 900th anniversary. So whatever it is, you need to find it. After all, it is not right to just be a robot chugging out thousands of practice questions. You cannot function well with that. School teaches you how to pass exams, but it also teaches you how to pass life. But even if you're like me, about to say goodbye to your school and move on to university or another career, you haven't finished learning. In fact, you're just getting started. So, keep questioning, keep wondering, and keep putting your mind on the matter.